Hey guys, it's Hubbard. It's Saturday the 22nd. So I know I gave a midweek update, so just wanted to finish out the week with a hopefully shorter update. I'll try not to be long-winded. But anyway, you know what happened Wednesday? You knew I was going for night drive, so got there late, did our night drive, and I took off first from the school. And we had a loaded truck, and this was, of course, before it was night, so it was still daylight. It was about 3 o'clock, and headed up that same 321 from Lenore up to Blowing Rock and Boone. That I took that first load, the first loaded truck that I drove, where I had all the humbling experiences. So made that same run with the same instructor, with a loaded truck. So it was my redemption time, if you will. So headed up the mountain, downshifted fine, never had to stop, never got stuck. Downshifted pretty good, except one time I floated it instead of double clutching, and old Eagle Eyes Gary, he caught me. What you doing floating that in there? Don't be doing that. So he busted me the one time I tried to float the gears. I was trying to do it real quick. The way the truck was geared, it didn't have a lot of power because it was governed so low. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So anyway, no problem with the with that trip. And then we switched drivers. Got all three drivers in and ended up over near Asheville, North Carolina, and had supper. And then my turn again, so I drove to around Asheville and down Highway 40 until we got to the top of Black Mountain and switched drivers again there. So that was my night drive. That was fun, a little interesting, seeing the trailer in the dark and with the lights and the reflections and stuff. It's a little bit different, but it went pretty well. Then let's see what happened Thursday. Thursday was pretty exciting. Thursday, I went out on the road in the morning, nothing special, and got a text from one of the guys that was back in class that our director came into class that morning and said, "We're testing today." We were just told Thursday morning by our lead instructor that testing, pre-trip testing would start next week, so get ready for it. Well, he comes in that morning and says we're starting today. That was on Thursday, so we got back in off the road, had lunch, and after lunch he came back down there and started testing those of us who had been out on the road. So did my pre-trip inspection test, made 100 on it. Proud of that, very proud of that. And then said we could do the backing test too, which was another surprise. So if we wanted to, they didn't force us to. So asked him if I could have a couple practice runs because it had been 3 or 4 days since I'd been on the range. So I went up and backed in a couple times and did my thing, and did my straight line back, was nailing it, no problems. Did my 45 back a couple times, was got to where I was nailing it, putting the bumper. You got to back it in. You can't, when you get straight, there take away points for hitting the cones on the sides, for stopping out of the space. But they've got a box that I guess it's about 2 feet deep where they want you to put the bumper. So when you stop, that bumper needs to be in that box. If you're short of that box, they count off 1 point. If you go beyond that box, it counts 2 points. Of course, because if you back up too far, you've hit something, and that's worse. So I practice and back up, and a lot of times when we back up, we really don't know if we're in the box, and we don't have anybody there telling us, so we're kind of guessing, which isn't good. But it's hard to take the time when you got people waiting on you to get out and look all the time. So anyway, had a guy looking a couple of times. He was up there doing something else, and I whistle at him, and he'd tell me whether I was in the box, and I was nailing it. So made 100 on the pre-trip, went up, did the straight line backing, made 100 on the straight line backing, went and did the 45 back, and backed it straight in. No points. Got stopped. Hit my horn so Rudy would know I was done and ready for him to grade me, and came over and went 2 points. I went over the back line. Hit it 3 or 4 times right before, and then went over that line. Oh well, you can miss 7 points total in the backing test. So I made 100, 198. So not bad. I passed. Over and done with. Glad that's over and done with. I don't have to worry about that. So now we only have to worry about the road test in terms of getting the CDL. We got other classroom tests that we have to take in order to get our grades. But that's it for the CDL other than the road trip. So that went well. Got it over with. It was a surprise. Didn't think we would be doing it that day, but we did. And then now all we've got to worry about is that road trip test. So, and then comes Friday. We start Friday off. It's a classroom day, no driving Friday. So we had the recruiter from GNP. This is the company that I told you guys that I applied with, and called me back on Tuesday and offered me the job. That was second on my list behind Epps. Real close. Things I like about both. He came in, and really impressed with him and really impressed with the company. Found out that their pay was more than I thought it was starting out. 3 cents more than I thought it was. Their territory is great. It's southeast and also over to Texas. So do a lot in Texas. They've also have runs in Illinois, Indiana, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Some in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. None in New York or anywhere north of New York. They don't do, I can't remember if they do West Virginia, or I don't think they do West Virginia or Kentucky, or Virginia. So anyway, that went real well. Really liked him. He from an old sales guy. Him calling me back, and him being prompt. He addressed a couple questions after he spoke to the class. Said he'd get back with a couple other students about something, and called them back within 15 minutes. Very respectful as far as recruiters go. Very honest. Of course, not being naive, that's still to be seen. But I believe him to be. I'm a pretty good judge of character. Knock on wood. So, really elevated GMP to the top. Epps hasn't come in yet. They come in next week. So, got a job offer. If everything goes as planned, I will probably be joining GMP. Now, that could change after Epps comes in. Spent a lot of time with Epps on my mind, and Epps at the top of my list, so it's going to be hard to make that change now, but GMP's right there neck and neck. So that was Friday. Went great. Now we're getting some of this stuff off our plate. We got those pre-trip and the backing test out of the way. Friday afternoon we did our trip planning and mapping test. So we spent all day doing that and then taking the test that afternoon. So got that out of the way. Now we've got the general knowledge test at the end of class, and we've got our logbook test at the end of class, or at some point between now and then, which should be easy. And then we've got the road test. Of course, that's the one we'll all stress over and worry about. I also, if I decide to go with GMP, I do have to get my hazmat endorsement. So today, that's what I'm sitting here doing. got football on and the volume turned down, and I'm sitting studying hazmat. So I can go get my hazmat endorsement. It helps with EPS as well, but it's not mandatory for EPS, but it is mandatory for GMP. So I'm going to go ahead and get it done and out of the way. So that was the rest of my week. Wednesday night and Thursday and Friday, and it was a great week. Our lead instructor is going to the beach next week. She's had enough. She wants a break from all of us. So we'll have our good friend Gary, who was the instructor who I drove with during the night. He'll be leading class next week, and so we'll be out on the range getting our hours and doing some more road time, and hopefully getting up to speed with all the little details for the road trip next week. So anyway, it was a great week. That's it. I'm going to go back to studying. Got my Tar Heels coming on, playing football, even though they stink. They come on at 3. So in about an hour, I'm going to take a break and turn the volume up and watch the ball game. My alma mater, Appalachian State, playing. I'm going to get them on the radio because they're not on TV. So I'm going to try to listen to them on the radio. Anyway, have a great weekend. Everybody be safe, and we'll talk to you next week.